Yo,
What up? What up?
Ooh, I'm feeling it already, bro.
The old fashions today,
yeah.
man. We got a new one for you guys. Welcome back, everybody, to the Carpet Footman Podcast. He is Juan and I'm Sean, and every week we get together, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit him with a drink of the day.
Listen, man, I feel like we've been doing these a lot lately, but
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because they're too good. So we're doing an old fashioned, but we got a little special something today because we went a little extra on the bottom. So first off, we are using a rye whiskey this week called Very Old Saint Nick. And for you whiskey fans, you're probably upset that we're even mixing this with anything. But we felt like the old fashioned was the only way to give it the respect it deserved at most if you're not drinking it straight. But
we had to play with it.
Oh my God, we did how many? This is why I'm fucked up. It's so many different variations of this old fashioned. By the time we got to the one we liked, I was already like whoop whoop. So we did, and what we learned is that some of the stuff that we just normally do is just fine. So
Yep.
we wound up taking it back. I tried to get cute, and it was like, nah, bro.
Nope. Do the thing.
Do the thing. Do the thing. So we did. So the thing was, we muddled an orange wedge and a cherry, a bada bing cherry, not a regular cherry. So orange wedge, bada bing cherry, orange bitters, Angostura bitters, and half an ounce of simple syrup. So muddle all that together in a mixing glass, add some ice, add the 2 ounces of the Very Old Saint Nick Harvest rye whiskey, stir that up for a little bit, and then pour into a rocks glass with either a large ball or whatever your preferred shape of ice is.
Absolutely.
And then we actually garnished with orange peel, a lemon peel, and a cherry. Probably didn't have to go all that extra, but it made me feel good.
That's right.
So
and let the cherry just marinate in there and eat it at the end.
Yeah, man, it gets there's we've built like relationship with these cherries at this point in time where we eat them at the end and it gets so uncomfortable.
Put them in your mouth and get a bang out of life. Yo, and then
so good, man.
Your eyes do not deceive you. That looks like a wine bottle.
It really does.
That's what I thought it was when I came in here. I'm like, oh shit, we're drinking wine today. But then he's like, it's whiskey, so I'm thinking moonshine that somebody bottled it up for you. But no, this one is good. It's a rye whiskey, right?
Yeah, it's rye whiskey, man. And I thought it in the spirit of the holidays. It was it's a Very Old Saint Nick, so I felt like it was very
Christmassy,
appropriate for the Christmas season, man. So, and it's good. This is my first time having this one. I feel like I've had versions of the Saint Nick ones, but not this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, not bad. Rye is always a little. I know it's an acquired taste. Like I know a lot of people who love whiskey, love bourbon, and they won't do rye. But I like
what's
it,
the price point at the bottle?
This one's right at about 200. So,
yeah.
Yo, your eyeballs are.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. This is.
Nigga, you don't experiment with $200 bottle of whiskey, man. What's wrong with you? We're gonna have to talk about this after this.
It's a tax write-off.
This nigga came up on some shit.
If it makes you feel better, it was like $195. Hey, we don't do this all the time.
No,
so
man,
it's for
the holidays.
This is the holiday special occasion bottle, man. Normally we try to keep it reasonable, but yeah, this one's definitely a splurge bottle for sure. So yeah, before you go looking for it, I'm glad you asked that. Nobody listening to the pod goes to look for this.
You can use regular rye whiskey.
Yeah, you use rye. Let's see, who makes a good rye? Basil Hayden, great rye, probably under $50. Do the Basil Hayden rye.
You did not disclose that information. You come over to miles of that shit, I'll be like, that's the top shelf. That's the one you don't open.
It's funny, I almost got a high-end tequila.
Yeah.
There was a tequila I saw, and I was like, ooh, we could do that one. But I felt like we had done tequila like a bunch lately, so I'm like, I don't know that we've ever done like a high-end, because we did a high-end tequila once.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think we've done a high end either whiskey or bourbon or whatever. And I was looking for bourbon, but they didn't have anything. I don't know, man. Like all the like the Pappies and like there's like very specific bourbons that are usually considered like the higher end, that they're just hard to find, man. Like bourbon is
Yeah,
really
I think
weird.
one of them that a good buddy of mine talks about is the Eagle Rare.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard,
But it's
to,
hard
find,
to find.
dude. It's so hard to
Yeah.
find.
And then they're overpriced when they get them.
Oh my god, though the secondhand price of those, because people, they treat them like trading cards or whatever.
Yeah, it's like fucking. It's like buying the 1985 Jordans.
It's
like they had $400.
It's
now.
ridiculous, bro. And then there's a what do you call it? I was gonna get some single malts or some Irish whiskeys, maybe a Macallan, and I thought about doing like a higher end Macallan, but that would have gave you a bigger heart attack, the Macallan that I initially thought to go. I was like, I'm not mixing that at all. Or I go, an old fashioned with a Macallan might
Are my eyes back in my head right now?
bro, you went. Yeah.
Because I just look at the bottle and I go, wait a minute, that's halfway done. Put the cap on that bitch.
That's about $107 worth.
And we over here experimenting.
Hey, it didn't go to waste though.
No, absolutely not.
It didn't go to waste, man. And we don't do this all the time. So
That's right.
That's like,
All right, bro. Hit me with the common footprint. What you got?
dude, listen, I'm gonna take a step away from being an asshole this week, and I picked a sweet story that I saw that was cool, that I felt like was maybe not life changing per se, but I think impactful for sure. Okay. Mitchell Robinson, NBA player, currently plays for the Knicks. His high school coach recently had his wife pass away. And high school coach is an elderly guy. Him and his wife married for a very, very long time. I wish I had the age here. I'm sure I can go look it up. But at the funeral, Mitch, and so his high school coach's name is Butch Stockton. And at the funeral, Mitch said he invited Butch to live with him in New York. And then Stockton took him up on the offer. He's like, he was by himself. He didn't know what to do with his life.
Yeah.
He kind of been, with his wife for a long time. He's like retired. Again, elderly guy.
Yep.
And he went.
How old? Did you see?
No, let me
Okay.
see. I got to look it up because he's pretty old. If I had to guess, I would say late 70s, maybe 80s.
No, I'll look. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so he invited him to live with him in New York, man, and they became roommates at the start of the NBA season this year. And they did an interview with the guy, and he was talking about how, how much he changed his life, how during like a really sad time, after this loss, what this meant to him. I guess the connection to basketball, the connection to a former student, getting to live in New York. He's a coach from the South, like deep South, twang, obviously never lived in New York or anywhere else really. And I just thought it was such a cool, heartfelt story. It just showed how much this guy meant to this kid who obviously wound up to end up in the NBA. And just, dude, it's two different worlds, right? Like two guys from two different worlds, two different points in their lives, and for him to sort of extend that. And, how many people say stuff like that and they don't mean it?
And not only that, how many people would actually accept it?
And then how many people can accept it, and then you go through with it, just the whole thing was cool. Right. And then watching their interactions in the interview, you know what, like Butch Stockton, I think this is something that during probably the hardest time of his life, or maybe he was celebrating his wife's death, I don't know, but I'm gonna assume that he liked her.
You're gonna assume he was sad.
He was sad, and probably a really tough time for somebody like that. And
so she died at 70.
Okay.
So he's got to be,
yeah,
he's probably a little older than that.
Yeah. And so for, I just thought you could just see it in his face how happy he was when they were interviewing him during the game and asking him about it. And I just thought, like, wow, man, like what does that mean to that guy? What did that do to him on a day-to-day basis at this point in his life, where maybe the only life he knew was very, very specific, and this was a, turned your world upside down event with the passing of his wife probably, and then this as well, but in a positive direction. And it just took someone not only just extending their like, I guess, their kindness to you, but obviously sort of paying forward maybe what you did for them.
Yeah, I think that's it right there, which is when when you're in a position to teach somebody, 'cause even as a parent, right, when you're in a position to teach somebody and then they take a liking to something that you're really good at.
Yeah.
And then that sort of excitement of you go like, oh shit, like you're actually into this?
Yeah.
Let me teach you everything.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that is the same way from a coaching standpoint, from a sport, right? When you see somebody who has the talent, who has the dedication, who has the drive, and then you're just going like pouring every bit of knowledge that you have into this individual, that shit makes such a big difference, man. And I wasn't into sports like that big where I had sort of coaches, but like I had a few teachers throughout the years that had like really big impacts on me, who saw like my potential and spent more time with me and challenged me, and those people like one of them is my 7th grade teacher, brother Casey. Shout out to you, Stephen Casey. Dude's doing the Lord's work down in I think like Guatemala or something. Doing his thing, still doing the thing. But like he was one of those guys that would, you know, like come on a Saturday and be like, yo, come on, we going out, we're gonna go do this thing, right? Like he was one of those guys, and he was actually young. So I was in 7th grade, like 12 years old, and I was 12, he was 20. So the age gap was really small.
Yeah,
but
you know, hanging out with a big brother kind of thing.
Exactly. And so, you know, he took me and then a really good friend of mine, like kind of under his wing, and he would take us places and stuff like that. And it's one of those things, man, where I don't know that it was a big deal to him, but it was definitely a big deal to us. And I still keep in contact with him to this day.
Oh, wow.
So it's one of those things, like, you know, like if that, like I could see that. Matter of fact, that's where my mind went when you telling this story.
Yeah.
Was like, you know, there's people that have impact in your life, man. And this is a coach, but it could be a teacher, it could be a mentor, it could be uncle, it could be your parent. Like, yeah, man. So shout out to this guy, man,
absolutely,
for doing that. That's amazing.
Dude, it's so funny, man. The only people I've looked up there after, you know, like years of not seeing them were probably teachers. Like I've looked up my old band teacher from middle school.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people hated him, and he was definitely a screamer, and he had a temper tantrum all the time, and he was just I wouldn't say mean, but he was definitely you know, he commanded respect, and but you know how there's people like that, but they're sort of endearing in this way, and there's just lessons that stick with you for your entire life, not just like musically and all. It's like there's just things that he moments and whatever that you sort of got out of that you'll just never forget, and he was one of those. And it's so funny because I go, man, he was the teacher who got just like the most upset, just yelled, just lost his cool so many times, and he's the one that I think about all the time, and I'll like look up on LinkedIn or Google or whatever to be like, what is he up to these days? Or I'll ask people that I know, like, yo, man, can you tell me what so and so's up to these days? Just to.
And you're the only guy that I know that talks about band.
Yeah, dude,
so that's fucking cool, man.
It's funny, man. Like, and a lot of it was him, and I think I also have really fond memories of the friends that I had. Which funny, man. People who I still keep in contact with. Like maybe we don't hang out all the time.
Yeah.
But we're definitely all still in like a group and on social media, and we'll check in, and it's hilarious, man. Like we all remember so much from that era. I think we were in this band thing that was so highly competitive that we were like a middle school band competing against like high schools and colleges and all this stuff that, you know, you get really close. You spend so much time on the road, I guess, quote unquote, together, because we did a lot of these trips and stuff. So the core group was just like really close, especially the ones who did it like all 3 years of middle school.
Yep.
But then, yeah, to do it with him, and he would just lose his shit. And like
if
it
you
was
did
just,
what?
Anything, bro. Like you could be, bro. Sometimes it wouldn't even be that bad. It would be like he would get
it's
unreasonably
like a true like band
off.
camp shit.
Oh my god, bro.
Like American Pie type shit.
Yeah, dude. And this is like old school like teachers who would like, you know, let's say he was talking to you, right? And I dropped like, I don't know, fucking something tiny, a stick. Right. He would lose his shit, and I mean unreasonably lose his shit, like yelling at the top of his lungs. He would turn all red. You thought he was gonna have a heart attack right there. Like every time I look him up and he's still alive, I'm like, how?
You seen him pop at least 10 blood vessels.
But dude, nobody has made me believe in myself more than that guy did. Really? Like in some of those moments, because he was so fucking mean, bro. and then when he goes like, what kind of, you know, like when he'd ream you and he goes like, you're so much better than that. What's this bullshit you're doing? And you're like, I must be all right. You know what I mean? Like he's getting his limit. But yeah, it's so funny, man, how like you don't like sort of pick the ones that stick with you. They just kind of do.
They just do, bro. I had to do it in college like that too, man. That really, I took 2 classes with him. Actually, you and I had the same teacher for economics.
Oh, yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Jack Chambliss, man.
yeah.
Awesome teacher
Shout out
at Valencia, man. Same type of dude, man. Like, didn't take me out. Like, it wasn't outside, but inside. Like, not only in the classroom, but also having external conversations, like in his office, and just challenge you, and saw potential in you and pushed you. Man, you don't forget those
dude.
people.
And he made you think about things that you were so sure about.
Oh,
and
my
he
God,
gave
bro.
you these perspectives, where you were like, "Well, now I don't know anything." and that's kind of what you want, right? Out of an educator, it's like, "Wait, what?" And he would tell you, like, I think you and I had the same experience. So he'll be like, "Oh, Shaq was underpaid," and you're like,
yes.
"What?" And then he'd be like, "Shaq was underpaid."
And this is the Shaq that got the monster contract
at the time was considered
the
like
mid '90s.
So I think for us it was like, I think for you it was Shaq is underpaid. I think for us it was like Alex Rodriguez, something like
that's
that.
probably right. Yep.
And I remember like just everyone in the room went, "This guy's out of his fucking mind. I need to drop this class immediately." And then he breaks down why.
Why? And then you can't argue with it.
And you can't argue with it. You're like, "Holy shit, A-Rod's underpaid."
He got shafted.
But you go like, I think that is what you want out of someone, right? Like who's an educator is like, "Yo, make me think about what I think I know, and then just give me like a different perspective." I love that guy's class, man. Dude. To this day, as one of the few textbooks I've kept from college was his.
Dude, I have.
Yeah.
So when I took him, he wrote the book.
Same.
For the first time. It was his first edition.
Oh, see, I had it after it'd been out for a bunch.
Yeah. So I gotta bring you mine, man, so you can see this shit.
They stapled together and shit.
It looks like that, bro. They look like, it looks like he fucking drew the fucking cover. It's very like,
He printed them out of his garage.
yeah, it looks like that, bro.
My humanities teacher did that. Like,
Really?
We got one of the first, and and I still have it because I still like. Again, him and Chambliss, I think, are the only books that I've kept that I like will look at all the time if I get a chance to. And he actually wrote his book as well for the class, and it looks like my kid, stapled it together and tried to bind it, with like a kit they bought at Michael's. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Chambliss has like personal pictures in the book and stuff like
him
that.
like on vacation.
Yes.
He's like on a mountain somewhere or whatever. Like, I remember there being photos of him. Like,
and I think he has a picture with him and his wife, who was like a former student. Sorry to call you out like that.
Of course.
He was a young cat, man. So
yeah. He was. I could see that guy, man. Charismatic,
Absolutely,
really smart. Yeah. I could definitely see that, man.
All right, man. My carbon footprint is going out to the college football playoff committee. These sons of bitches. So for those of you who saw, college football fans saw this weekend, Florida State got snubbed from the college football playoff. They had pretty much been in the top 4 from most of the season.
Every week except for the last two of the last 3, right? Something like that.
I think
They dropped to 5, last week before. Then they went back and forth.
Who was 4?
I thought it was Ohio State, Washington, Georgia, and then they had somebody they put ahead of them. They did. I thought they dropped to 5.
I don't think so.
For 1 week. But anyway,
either way, man. So Florida State. So anyway, it is the job of the committee to pick the 4 best teams. It is not like other professional sports where it goes.
It's gymnastics, bro.
Record.
It's Olympic gymnastics.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. But at least
what did it look like?
But at least in gymnastics, you can kind of even the commentators will go like, "Ooh, they'll lose a point there, or they'll lose a point there." Mm-hmm. In this case, Florida State did nothing wrong. One of their players went down, and I didn't know this. One of the criteria was availability of star players and coaches.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, the committee comes together.
Interesting. So the coach can't be there.
No.
You also downgrade them potentially.
You could. Yeah, that could be a potential. So which kind of goes back to when Michigan
lost
Harbaugh for 3 games, but why not 4? Right? Or why not 5? Or why not the rest of the season? Right? Because then they could potentially go,
dude, and they
they're
were
not going to
still
be there.
bashing teams. They beat Ohio State without Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, Florida State, and the reason why they sort of got snubbed was because their star quarterback went out, and then they won the last 2 games with the backup and the third string, and really their defense won the game. And so I guess the committee was just like, they're not the 4 best teams anymore because their star quarterback is out. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. Being a Florida State fan, the 4 teams that got in, like, I'm not mad because I go, yeah, that's going to be a great playoff.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at that. Here's what I am mad at. If you're going to take them out of the top 4, stand 10 toes on that shit and really put them where you think they belong. What they did was they dropped them down to 5. And then, since Georgia lost, they put Georgia at 6. And now Florida State and Georgia are going to play. But think about this. Thinking about Florida State against Louisville at the end, right? With the third string quarterback. If that's your team, are you putting them over Georgia? Just your test. I want your
the eyeball test. No.
Okay. Are you putting them over Ohio State?
No.
Are you putting them over Oregon?
No.
Are you putting them over Missouri?
That's
Maybe.
a toss up.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
perfect.
a toss up.
Good.
Yeah.
So they deserve to be number 9.
No, you're not. So, yeah, you're not wrong because I think unlike college football does this weird thing, unlike professional sports where your record determines your seeding.
Correct.
College football is like, oh, your record matters, but your record matters, and then you have to pass the eyeball test.
That's right.
And with the eyeball test, which is why I was like referencing the gymnastics, which is like someone looking at it is subjectively going, you look impressive or you don't.
Yep.
And my beef with the Florida State thing is that, dude, you can't tell 19, 20-year-old kids, here's the criteria, and they exceed that. Like, it's one thing to go undefeated in Conference USA, like when UCF did it and Boise State does it and all that, and people bitch and moan and thing, but nobody really
they're in
feels
lesser
bad.
conferences.
They're in lesser conferences.
Correct.
You can't go undefeated in a Power 5 conference, and I would argue with a third-string quarterback starting your last game, a second-stringer starting your last 1 or 2, I would argue that's more impressive because your team found a way to win.
Right.
Maybe it didn't look sexy. Maybe it didn't look dominant. Maybe it didn't look whatever. But at the end of the day, the point is to win.
Yep.
And those kids did that. I just felt so bad for these kids where you went undefeated in a Power 5 conference. And I know we can have the argument about their strength of schedule and blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, you won your conference and you went undefeated in a Power 5. You should absolutely, you deserve to be one of the top 4 teams in the country if you're going to go by I think any metric that makes sense, like other than the eyeball test of this may not be fun to watch.
Right.
And that's really what it boiled down to.
That's what it boiled down to, man.
It's like it's not going to be fun to watch.
If they were even the 4th and they played Michigan, that would be a defensive fucking
dude.
Like
if the NFL did that, the Ravens wouldn't have a Super Bowl ever. Like if that's how we were doing things, like how many boring teams are in the NFL that won Super Bowls or whatever, but like who were maybe defensive or.
Yeah. But I feel like the committee did. So they put Florida State at 5, and they put Georgia at 6, and I think that so they're going to play each other. And I'm going. I feel like the committee did that to go. Okay, we'll put these guys. We'll put them at 5, so then they'll play 6, and then Georgia will stomp them out. And then we'll go, and then they'll be able to go, see, we told you.
We told you. Right. Yeah, which, I mean, obviously for me as a Texas fan, I was ecstatic that they got in. I was surprised by Georgia falling as far as they did because I thought they did deserve to be ahead of FSU. But I think the same criteria why I felt like Texas should have been in, which is what they had the head-to-head win over Alabama. Alabama had the head-to-head win over Georgia, so I guess you have to put Alabama over Georgia if you're going, all these teams have one loss. Which ones sort of trump the other?
Yeah.
Because the only undefeated team in that top 4 is Washington, right?
And Michigan.
Oh, that's right. So Michigan, yeah, I forgot that.
So it would have been Michigan, Washington, Florida State.
And where did Ohio State end up?
Number 7.
Which is interesting because they had the one loss, and there was talk that they could potentially move up on a bye week for them where they had it. They weren't even playing for a conference championship.
But that was if Michigan lost.
Yeah. Which is funny, man. The way I was rooting for the weekend to play out sort of played out exactly. Like, I'm like, okay, I need Washington to win. Yeah, because if Oregon wins,
then
as a
they have
Texas
to go
fan, Oregon has to go in,
Yeah,
but
they
now
have to go.
Washington goes from 3 to, like, Texas was 7 at the time. Texas needs to leapfrog 3 teams. I go, do you drop Washington to 8, or because they beat Oregon, do you leave them at like 5 or 6, which means Texas doesn't leapfrog them? Which I think Texas did their job. They had impressive wins the last 2 weeks, including in the conference championship. And I think that's why they put them up at 3. Because again, the eyeball test would tell me that Alabama today is a better team than what Texas beat, and maybe they're better than Texas. I don't know. But the head-to-head win has to matter, which is why I thought FSU deserved to be in, because FSU beat everyone you put in front of them.
Yeah, and I am hoping for a Michigan over Alabama and Florida State over Georgia. That's what I'm hoping for, because the other thing was before the committee came together, it was like, are you going to leave the SEC out? And it was like, that would be a travesty, right?
God. Yeah, well, and what if it happens anyway?
But the thing was that Bama went from like 8 to 4. They jumped 4 spots, which, by the way, they shouldn't have won the week before against Auburn. They won like pretty much on a Hail Mary.
Yeah. Dude, I know a lot of people are picking Bama to win now, but
nah, bro.
The fact that you're peaking now, it shouldn't matter, because I think what you're saying, I hate this idea that the whole eyeball test and the beauty contest only matters in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Because if you have 2 losses, but you impressively beat a bunch of other people, we don't go, yeah, but you really impressively look, you look great these weeks. You just had 2 bad weeks. Like, we go, you lost twice. Right. And so why then FSU? Why are you being penalized for not? So if this quarterback gets hurt 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, and they win 4 games in a row without him,
I think that's different, unless they win kind of ugly in all those 4 games.
But if you win for a month without your starting quarterback, you go, do you penalize them just as hard?
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't, right?
But
and then how do you not go, man, they won with a 3rd string quarterback? Maybe we should be thinking about that. This team is so good that they put in a true freshman and they still won. It wasn't pretty, and their defense had to do most of the work or whatever, but the team
together, it's a team game.
It's a team game. Yeah, it's just,
listen, the quarterback
is the 18,
most
19, 20-year-old kids, man. Like, I think that's a hard conversation to walk into that locker room and watch that selection show, and then, like you said, realize that you're down to 5. It would have almost been an easier pill to swallow if you say you dropped them to 9, but to drop, but also telling them, hey, like, I know you won every game this year in a Power 5 conference without your starting QB for the last 2, but that's not good enough. Like, that's fucking hard, man, to tell a kid.
But actually, man, I'm hoping that they took the opportunity to go, yo, guys, this is a life lesson. You can do everything right and still lose out.
Process over result, man.
Dude, I'm talking about in life in general.
Yeah, no, process over result, always.
Everything right and still lose out. Yep. And it could be on some bullshit. It could be on, you could be the better candidate, but the other candidate, like, knows the fucking hiring manager. You know what I mean? Like, you could have the knowledge, you could do everything right and still lose out.
Yeah.
And that is that to me, like, is the takeaway for the Florida State players for life.
Yeah, if you're on that team, like, yep. And to your point, given them the carbon footprint, it is the first time in history that the committee has kept out an undefeated Power 5 team.
Yep.
Conference champion from the playoff. So, but
now, having said all that, bro, still looking forward to the playoff.
No, listen, it's going to be a good, to your point, it's going to be good. It's going to be entertaining. Again, I think if I'm doing the eyeball test, I don't disagree with what they did in terms of the eyeball test. I didn't like the idea of downgrading the results on the field, which is what I feel like has been done. Is you've turned a game that has a winner and a loser based on score into like gymnastics, like where you're going by a judge who's going like, yeah, but you didn't win impressively enough. Like, I just don't like that, and that always seems to be. And I know they'll say they have all these rules and they can go by the players that are missing and blah blah blah, but that never seems to matter if a team has 2 losses. It doesn't work the other way around.
Nope.
So it's just, that's why I have a hard time believing that, because it's like, why can't you have 2 bad weeks then, or 3? And the eyeball test tells me that you are a very good team or an entertaining team or whatever. And maybe, maybe kids going from the East Coast to the West Coast on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m., they don't perform well. Maybe, it's just, I just hate the idea that we sort of pick and choose when we want to apply those rules.
And so next year, we won't have this problem, right? Because it's going to be 12 teams in the playoff. I think it's 12.
Yeah, we're going to have this problem, bro, because 13 and 14 are going to be fucking complaining.
I was just going to say.
Yeah.
So if this was next year, LSU is out. And LSU is out over, so over them would be Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Penn State, Missouri, which I'm not really buying that.
I would put them ahead of Penn, maybe even ahead of Missouri.
Yeah.
Dude, and
with that QB?
And they potentially have the Heisman winner on that team. If it's not Bo Nix, it's probably Jaden, I can't think of his name. I forget his name too. Yeah. But
he's nasty.
It's phenomenal, man. Yeah.
Dude, so I also got the BCS. Remember the BCS?
Wow.
Which is the computer.
Yeah, the computer.
If the BCS was in place,
yep.
Michigan, Washington, Alabama, Florida State. Texas is 5.
Texas is 5.
And Georgia's 6.
Which, by the way, I couldn't have argued with that. I would have argued if Alabama getting over Texas. I think is the only beef I would have had because, again, the head-to-head win should matter. I wouldn't have been upset if Texas was 5 because you left in Washington and Oregon and you had a Michigan and a Georgia or whoever. It would have pissed me off for Alabama to leapfrog Texas because the head-to-head win has to matter. It has to. I don't care when it happens. I know that they're like, oh, win, you lose matters. Then we used to complain because college teams ducked each other. And then now they schedule each other, and you do get to see these Texas versus Alabamas, and you get to see, Notre Dame versus USC and all this other stuff. Like, we get to see, and as fans, we win, but then we're going to penalize teams because they beat them too early in the season. Like, it just doesn't
So let
make
me
sense.
ask you, I know Texas is going to the SEC next year.
Yep.
Which are they playing? Are they in Alabama?
I think they're on the Alabama side.
They're on the Alabama side?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be fun.
That'll be,
Also, that's going to be an overly saturated conference now. Because if you get to the point where, I don't know, maybe you make rules where only the conference or the league winners get into a playoff or whatever. Now you're talking about a league that's cannibalizing itself. You're talking Georgia, Alabama, Florida,
LSU.
Texas, LSU, Oklahoma.
Oh, are they going to be there too?
I think they're in the SEC now too.
Now?
Man. They're moving with Texas.
Next. Okay, okay.
Like the Big 12 is falling apart along with the Pac-12.
Okay.
It's big, dude. Like, so you can't have, I guess this makes it this goes against the feeling that I always had where in order to be in the playoff, I felt like you had to win your conference.
Not anymore.
No, because college football is making that difficult because you're putting all the best teams in one conference.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And which now that you say that is probably why they've gone to 12 teams.
It's not wrong. You condense, you go down and maybe it's a power 4, power 3. And then you go to a 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
Dude, how great would a playoff been this year with 12 teams?
That would have been awesome.
Oh, so good.
I would have loved to see, Oregon and Ohio State compete again. Or actually, Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Florida. So like 5, 6, 7, and 8.
I'll say, imagine Oregon, Georgia, that defense versus that offense, which
that'd have been good, bro.
It would have been good. I mean, Washington gave it to them, but it was a close game.
All right, man.
Close game.
Let's get off that shit.
Let's do it. Yep.
What's next, man? You seen this sex ed counselor?
Yeah, I was a little. All right, man. Like, let me pull up the
bring
details
up the story, man.
Yeah, because I was failing to find what they did wrong. So she's from Godly ISD groups. So she was overseeing a sex ed. She was tasked with deciding like the curriculum for sexual education, and she held multiple positions within the district. And she lost a sex ed position because she was a convicted prostitute. Which I'm like, so you're overqualified for the job?
It's like on the job training.
He's on the job. Who better to teach sex ed than the professional sex ed person? Like, she got paid for sex. That's his educational as it's gonna get, bro. You're dealing with a professional. This is like college football and the fucking rules when you're not allowed to pay them or their amateur status. That's what I feel like she's being penalized for being a professional.
Now this is the one. I think I read a similar article. Maybe it's the same person. is it Ashley? And then you can't pronounce her last name.
Yeah. I'm not even trying.
Catcher side.
Nobody gives a fuck about that, bro. It's
That's
Ashley.
the one, right?
Yeah.
It's Ashley.
It's Ashley.
38 years old. She's a mom, and but she also she had. Did you see how she got found out? So she would go to these meetings with other parents.
Okay.
And when they would talk to her, she would volunteer the information that she owned multiple businesses. But when they would kind of pry and go like, "Oh, you really like what?" She would never indulge in what the other businesses were. And that was it. She did this escort service.
Bro, don't you want your sexual education teacher
To know about sex.
to know about sex like a lot? Like, what's the problem here? I'm trying to figure out. Bro, this is like being mad because Michael Jordan's teaching gym. I don't know if she was a good prostitute, but damn it, she was a professional.
But dude, she led like a local cheerleading group. And then she volunteered on multiple panels. So she was part of the Family and Community Engagement Committee, the Parent Teacher Organization, and the Godly Athletic Booster Club.
Yeah, man.
So she was in on everything.
She was in, yeah.
But they didn't.
So
they
you
didn't
obviously liked her enough to include her and want to make her part of all
Dude,
these associations and
I
clubs.
feel like you have to be able to have something. And again, listen. When you're dealing with kids, it's a touchy subject. But you should be able to have, whether in this case a business, or I should just say outside, interests outside of whatever your primary role, whatever your primary job is.
Listen, if women were just as perverted as we were, and I could make money jacking off on camera, I mean, not outwardly is the problem, because I can't make money jacking off on camera.
Are you sure?
I mean, I could, but it's gonna be other dudes watching me, and I have morals.
Body right. Don't look him in the eye. Shout out to Rick.
I'll let him know he made the pod this week. Like, you gotta listen. You made the pod. Oh shit, man. Yeah. Fuck. I always have a tough time. I don't know, when you see these stories of people getting banned because of the stuff they do outside of their 9 to 5. Because I don't know, maybe selfishly because if people I work with listen to this, I'm probably gonna get fired. But also,
dude, I think about that shit every week.
Every week, this is the week.
I'm like, yep. I'm gonna get the call one of these weeks.
Yeah, so you get called into the principal's office. So we heard you, and then you try to think about what does your company stand for and all the shit you've said. That's the total opposite of that, and you're like, oh yeah, that was me.
Dude, I have played out in my head of the job coming to me and going, you got to stop doing that.
Okay, do I want to ask you, because maybe they might call our bluff?
Yeah, no.
Nah, I'll ask you off air, because I know my answer.
No, the answer is no. Yeah, the answer is no.
Yeah, I've thought about that. Where they're
you want me to be sane coming into work? I need this shit once a week.
And I know. And
they're stop putting it out.
By the way, I know exactly how the conversation is gonna go. It's gonna be like, yeah, can you guys not say retard on camera and on air? Also, it'd be fun if you don't talk about jerking off all the time. And I'd be like, nah.
Yeah, no. That's a deal breaker.
That's a deal breaker.
All right, man. Yo, next story I'm gonna come up with. You seen this Florida woman?
Ooh, I mean, you got to be more specific.
Sorry,
these bitches are doing something wild here every week.
I've seen a few this week, man. I saw a few articles this week, man. One of them was a woman having sex on the side of the highway. I will not get into that one.
Oh,
this one was.
Are we not allowed to do that?
We can, but this one's better.
Okay,
we got to pick and choose.
Okay,
Florida woman stabs her boyfriend in the eye.
Ooh,
with a rabies needle.
Ooh, wait. A needle infested with rabies. She stabbed him in the eye,
not
or infected with rabies?
No. It's a.
I don't even know what the word is.
So
I've had too much.
Because right now I'm going. Or when I read the article, I'm going where are you getting the rabies needle from? It was a rabies vaccine needle that they got for their dogs.
Oh, and she stabbed him in the eye with it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So they were.
Why did she stab him in the eye?
Okay, right. So they were arguing.
Okay.
She was arguing with her boyfriend at their home.
Okay.
And she was accusing him of being too interested in looking at other women.
Too interested in looking at other women.
Right.
So I'm gonna stab your eyeballs out.
Okay. Now let's play a game here.
Okay.
What race is she?
She's a Latina. I mean, bro, you got to make this shit harder.
Sorry, bro.
She's
Got that right. Ding, ding, ding. Sandra Jimenez.
not Jimenez.
Oh, sorry. You know her?
Probably, but you know how many Sandra Jimenezes are out there?
So, dude, her boyfriend went to the hospital and she went to jail. What I find funny is that she pled not guilty.
Of course she did.
To felony charges of aggravated battery.
Because her justification, like every other Latina, would be like, well, if you just listened to me, I wouldn't have had to do that. So really, you made me do it.
She's definitely marriage material. She loved it than me.
This is why I have a strict no Latina policy.
Every time I tell my kids, no, don't marry a Latina. At home, I get the look, and I'm like, ooh, I'm getting stabbed tonight.
No, I'm getting stabbed. Should be like, I'm speaking from firsthand experience. Who better qualified to tell them not to than a man in the trenches? It's not like you're saying it from the outside looking in. Like, damn it, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym.
I'm in the foxhole, motherfuckers.
Bruh, you know how there's those what was that podcast where the black dudes were like, oh, I can't date the black chicks.
Oh,
I feel like we're gonna end up. I don't remember those guys' names, but they were. they were getting
stopped.
shit because they were like, yeah, they're like, oh, the black guy on the thing was like, oh, I can't date black girls. That's about to be us. We're gonna go viral. Like, oh, yeah, well, date a Latina. the Latin host of the podcast.
They can't say shit, man. I'm married to one, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, this is true.
I can say that shit.
You're
It's
also part black, so it checks that
Right?
box too. So we're
Dude,
allowed
I
to
got
get away
it
with
all,
more
bro.
shit. Oh yeah,
I got it all.
Yo, we got to get affirmative action on cancellation, right? Like, I don't know how the fuck that works, but
Absolutely, bro. What on my bloodline, man?
Like,
I'm sure.
nah, you
I'm
guys are
sure
allowed
I'm sure I got Native American in there, man.
I definitely had Native
Yeah,
American.
man.
No,
I
bro,
got
my ancestors were
indigenous
definitely
people.
murdered and raped. I'm sure. Because if you look at some of my most of my family members, you've met some of my uncles, like the older one, dude, they have straight crazy Indian hair. They were definitely Tainos, which means someone's my great grandmother, grandfather in there were slaughtered by a white guy.
Yeah, your uncles definitely had that DNA.
And I'm so grateful for that because I'm here now. I wrestle with that every day, but I'm like, gotta do what you gotta do, Christopher.
Oh, fuck, man. All right, bro. Tell me about... Dude, tell me about the Oppenheimer. What's going on with Oppenheimer?
Okay, so you know Oppenheimer.
I have not seen the movie.
I haven't either, which I know it's coming out now, sort of on video, so I need to try to buy it. Or rent it or whatever we do these days. But what I thought was wild is that it's being released next year.
Redbox.
Is that a thing still?
I don't think so.
Redbox?
Maybe.
Dude, I had a whole conversation with my kids this week about Blockbuster. And
they were like, what?
And it was, but it was so funny, man. My son was like, I wish I lived during that time. And I'm like, no, you don't. But he was like, no, that sounds like a lot of fun. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, it was, man. The whole, like, remember when Fridays used to get here and you would,
with the new releases?
And the new releases, and you would go and you would hope to get there early enough so they weren't all taken.
Yep.
And then you were like, you know, the fun was picking out the movie and then picking out all the snacks. You know, the bucket of popcorn at Blockbuster that you microwave the whole damn bucket in there. Hopefully it didn't burn.
They fucking charge you like a movie theater too.
It was ridiculous, man. But I'm like, man, how fun was that? I think we were talking about video games, like renting video games.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, and he's like, well, why wouldn't you just? I'm like, listen,
I rented video games and wouldn't return them.
Yeah.
And I pay the fee.
Oh, and it was way more than the game probably cost.
No, actually, man. I remember one in particular. It was like Tecmo Super Bowl 3 came out. So I rented it, And then I was like, nah, because I couldn't find it anywhere in the stores. So I kept it and I went back to the store and I was like, yo, I don't, and I was willing to pay whatever, so I didn't fucking care. And then the guy was like, let me look really quick. We haven't really made that much money on this. And then so I don't know, man. I think he charged me like $25.
Which is that? How much was it? How much is that in comparison
I
to
don't
what it was?
remember, man. It was probably like a $50 game or a $40 game, and then he charged me like
So you made
25
out.
or $30.
All right.
And I was like, yeah.
What a time, bro. We had fun back then.
See, I look back at that and I go like, that sucks.
No, it does.
Now
compared
just
to
want
now.
to stream.
No, it's fucking terrible compared to now. But you just think about how that was your weekend routine at a given point in time, man.
Oh, how about the Netflix when you used to fucking get them in the mail?
You remember that shit? And it was in a paper, and you were like, "You guys are gonna scratch these DVDs? How are you doing? Is it fucking psychopaths? Like, why are you?" Like, it was so bizarre to me that someone would send you a DVD in a paper envelope, but that's what we did.
But it was cool because you made the list.
Yeah,
And right, so when you were
and they
done
would just
watching,
send them in order.
Yeah, so you were done watching and you stick it in the mail. You're just like, oh, we're gonna get another movie in a couple days.
And then you would try to send it quickly so that you can get the next one quick, and you'd be mad if someone took too long in your house to watch the movie. Is that just my house?
That was just yours.
Yeah, that was just mine.
I ain't had that many people.
Oh, we'd be fucking livid. Hey, are you gonna watch Hocus Pocus or the 77th time so we can fucking get? I need to watch Mr. Big or whatever the next thing was. It was
Sorry, man, I digress. Oppenheimer.
Okay, sorry. So Oppenheimer is coming out. I forgot we were fucking talking about Oppenheimer. But anyway, Oppenheimer's dropping next year in Japan, which is the most American fucking thing to do ever. We're gonna put that shit on IMAX.
They want it over there?
Yeah, I guess they're saying that's culturally important to show them, I guess, to not fuck with America.
Who said?
Like you haven't won the culturally. You haven't won the.
Who said it's culturally fucking?
I just made that up.
Okay, good.
But
I thought it was like a fucking real thing.
But it really is though. It's like you ever wonder why all of Tokyo is brand new? Allow me to show you a movie.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. But like, why is Japan so futuristic? Well,
they had a reset.
They had a reset button. You know how the dinosaurs had the comment? So did Japan.
Dude, I mean, I haven't seen that movie. I really do want to see it.
Me too.
It always makes me think about the. I remember hearing interviews with the pilot that dropped one of the bombs.
So fascinating, man.
And it's so cool. Well, I mean, it's not. Listen, it's not cool to drop bombs on people.
It's fascinating,
but it's fascinating to hear his right, because he's like, I knew I was dropping a bomb, but I didn't know what I was dropping.
Yeah.
And then he says he sort of drops it, and then as it's falling, he's turning around and going back the way he came, and then he turns around in his cockpit literally and sees this mushroom cloud, and immediately goes, "What the fuck did I just drop?"
Yeah.
You know, and that has to, and then I would imagine, you know, you talk about shit like PTSD and stuff like that, man. It's like that has to be so impactful on your life to know that you did it unknowingly. You didn't know you were dropping that.
Yeah.
But then the impact that had on that country. Now you did pretty much end the war.
For sure.
Right?
Bro,
Like
I think I can get over that shit. You just gotta play Pearl Harbor. That movie for me once with Ben. Bro, like anybody mad about Oppenheimer Japan, you gotta show that shit as a double feature. Play Pearl Harbor, and then they leave out of there feeling all proud and shit during intermission, and then it's just fucking solemn, it's quiet, everybody's just depressed during Oppenheimer. Like, yeah, that's what that got you.
So does Oppenheimer take place? I guess after the
because Pearl Harbor, like we responded.
That's right.
Yeah.
The war. That's right.
Like
that's right.
this is why. Listen, it's fucking terrible, and you know what? Like wars are terrible, murdering people are terrible, and all that stuff. But like, bro, you bring the smoke, you're gonna catch it. Like you can't sit there. Like you watch what happened in Pearl Harbor, and you can't expect someone not to respond, irrespective of what the country is.
Dude, who was that? That was it? Was it a general? That comes on.
Oh, the dude who went off about the fucking the Iranian guy,
like somebody else would raise your kids or whatever the fuck.
It's the most gangster shit I've ever heard.
That shit is
a leader of a military say in my life, bro. He goes like, yeah, if you guys want to, essentially he goes like, if you want to smoke, you can come get it, but someone else is gonna raise your kids.
Children. Yeah,
that's is the craziest flex I've seen in my life, and it's also not wrong. Like, I think what they should do in Japan is you play Pearl Harbor, you like the Ben Affleck, and you let everybody get riled up on that, or play Midway, great movie.
Oh, Midway is good too.
Yeah, really good. And then you drop right into Oppenheimer, and you do that as a double feature, bro. I think that's a good way to do it.
But the Oppenheimer thing, you haven't seen it, so I can't.
No, I haven't seen it. But I know the event. The event is following all this stuff, right? Like,
yeah, but I imagine they were already producing this weapon.
Sure, we were just trying to pick who was gonna get it. We were looking for an excuse to use it.
Yep.
We're sick of dropping it in the middle of the desert as a test.
They bombed us in Hawaii.
Yeah,
let's go that way.
Because the other, I guess, opponents during World War II, there was too many casualties that were sort of allies, right? Like you can't drop.
It was all in Europe.
In Europe, yeah. But the whole headline of Oppenheimer dropping in Japan just sounds funny as fuck. Not for them.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, what's going on? Dude, talk to me about the Bright Line, bro.
Bro, you know what Bright Line is, right? In Florida right now? Like, it's a train. It,
is it
runs
different
from
than
Orlando.
Is it different than the Sunrail?
Yes. So Sunrail sort of runs through local towns, if you will, like Central Florida. Bright Line is basically from here to like Fort Lauderdale and Miami, and it's like long
so
haul.
It's long distance.
Yeah.
It's like Greyhound.
Yeah, and it has
not Greyhound, Amtrak.
Amtrak, but it has nothing to do with that. The reason I would want to talk about this was because this train just keeps fucking hitting people.
What?
Like, yeah, bro. This train is the Oppenheimer of trains. It's just wiping out fucking everybody. But I think it's up to like 100 people, or 99. It's like one shy of 100 people since its inception, like 5-6 years ago. And obviously they've expanded the line over that time. It's hit close to 100 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. If for some reason, and a lot of it, most of them are, which I guess that was, I didn't realize trains were like a trendy way to commit suicide, but.
Oh, yeah. I can
there's
see that,
a lot of suicides because obviously there's more tracks and more crossings and all that stuff. So
yeah. You can just like park your car there.
Do you do that with a car though? Don't you want to get hit head on if you're trying to commit suicide? Bro, I think about suicide, it's like you're trying to do that shit the least painful way possible, right? Like all suicides are what you think are going to be quick deaths, right? You're jumping off a bridge, you're jumping off a building, you're hanging yourself, you're shooting yourself in the head, you're whatever. They're all like quick, boom, like I went out. Getting hit by a train inside of a car seems like I could suffer for a little bit and then go.
Yeah, and you might not die.
And then you might not die. But then you might be eating soup out of your ears for the rest of your life. Like that shit would fucking suck.
They got the
if you pull through. Yeah. But we've told this story on here where I had my great grandfather who tried to kill himself so many times, and every single time he just got visibly more upset that he couldn't pull it off.
Dude, if you're committing suicide,
what
are you doing?
If I'm doing it personally, first off, I'm kind of a bitch, so it would have to be something quick.
You're not jumping off like your fucking balcony.
I would, but I'd have to like throw myself over without thinking about it, and then hope I hit that ground before I realize what I just did. Like, or you shoot yourself in the head.
I don't want to. I'll be honest, man. I don't want to see. Like, it has to be. For me, it has to be like a gun.
A gunshot. Gun to the head. That's too much thinking on the way down.
Yeah. I'm not like that shit. Looking over your balcony looks like. It looks scary, and I'm not thinking about suicide.
Oh, no, bro. I'm getting on a Bright Line, and I'm waiting on an intersection.
Yeah, so are you doing that, right? Are you standing in front of a train?
Bro, can you imagine waiting for a fucking train the whole time, and you got to think about it? Like, and then what if you had to change your heart, and you're like, maybe tomorrow will be better, and then you're trying to stumble off and still get hit by this fucking train.
Or if you're in a car and your car won't start.
Yeah, bro, that shit sucks. Or somebody tries to be a hero. Like, you hear those stories of fuckers that jump off a bridge and someone jumps after them to try to save them. Like, the Golden Gate Bridge. Like, many of people jump off that shit to commit suicide. But every once in a while,
supposedly sharks down there,
someone lived. Yeah, but but also it's so high that you're supposed to die the minute you hit the water on impact. And so I think that's what a lot of people's goals
If you belly flop, you're dead.
Right. Yeah, you got to do it right, bro.
You got to do it right.
Yeah. But these people go in there, Michael Phelps, and they try to dive head first. It's not going to work, bro. You got to you got to go in that bitch like a rock.
You got to go in there like hit that bitch like concrete.
Listen, Also, I feel like this is the part we're supposed to leave the disclaimer. If you're actually thinking about suicidal thoughts, you got to call a number. I think Logic made it on.
Look it up on Google.
Go talk to somebody for real. We're assholes, so we make fun of everything.
Dude, I read this story this week about this woman that got arrested for basically for murdering a child. So not funny, but I wanted to bring it up.
I'm like, well, you just killed my buzz.
I'm sorry. But I wanted to bring it up because I go like, yo, like we probably all had these kind of situations. So essentially this woman, she's charged with murder. She was babysitting her boyfriend's kid. I don't know if it was a boy or girl.
Okay.
As the story goes, the kid was being really fussy. And then had one of those like diaper explosions that went like all the way up their back.
Okay.
Right? So this woman that was watching him is not, obviously, it's not his mom.
Okay.
So she got really frustrated with him, shook the shit out of the kid, and then roughly changed his diaper.
Jeez.
Probably there's probably other things that occurred in there that she did not tell, but essentially, the kid stops breathing. She calls 911. When the cops arrive, she admits like, yo, it was, she kind of admits what happens of just like, I was really frustrated with the kid, and the diaper explosion, and I was a little too rough, and I should have walked away, and I didn't, and I feel like I caused this. So now she's being charged with murder. Now, sad story, but I was like, man, that's what as a parent, and like, at least in most cases, because right, there's parents that fucking drive their kids off a fucking cliff. There's parents that drive into fucking lakes with a van full of kids, right? So like, it's not all parents, but like, that's the one thing about when it's your kid. Yes, you still get frustrated. Yes, you still get angry. Yes, like all of those things. And sometimes, man, if you're losing sleep, if you're, if you're losing sleep, if you're a single parent, if you're, low on funds, like all these things can come into play.
Just
and then
life
you have
stresses.
life stresses. And then you have a kid that's colicky or fucking moody or, whatever the case is. You always, you come to those points where you're super frustrated, and then as a parent, in most cases, you go, you're like, that's my kid, and I gotta be calm, I gotta suck it up,
patient or whatever. Yeah.
But if it's not your kid,
he's getting punted across a fence somewhere.
right? And it sucks, man. And this woman, like, she's gonna get, dude. She's already been charged. She's probably gonna be convicted.
I mean, she should.
No, absolutely.
Because, like you said, like as parents, most parents have had thoughts like that. I guess obviously they don't act out on it, but they definitely had the bad thoughts.
Dude, I remember one time being at work and just being super frustrated and talking to a coworker of mine, and telling the coworker like, man, like I'm just, like I have these bad thoughts sometimes, and I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
And she goes, Sean, I want to throw my baby out the window every day. And I think she had a kid that was probably like she was older than my kids at the time. But I remember her saying that to me, and it made me feel so much better. It was just like, man, like fuck, I'm not the only one that has these fucking crazy thoughts. And it's just like, like I feel like throwing my daughter out the window every day.
Dude, I think most of us have horrific fucking thoughts or what we think are unique to us, and because we don't share them because we're afraid of that, we don't know how common it actually is. Because I think that goes a step further. Like I think we think about people around us, like whether they're adults or like lovers or a boss, whatever the fuck, like, and then your kids too. Dude, no one has tried my patience more than my kids.
Oh yeah.
No one. And like there were definitely like I'm sure we've spoken about this on here before. Like my son was colicky. Yeah. And there were times where I was like, I'm not gonna survive this. Like I just like legit felt like you were having like this mental breakdown, or like I'm gonna chuck this kid across the room or out a window or whatever. Like,
so when you said, when you thought like I'm not gonna survive this, were you thinking like I'm gonna do something stupid and then I'm gonna end up
Yeah,
trouble?
like
Is that what
there
it
were
was?
moments that were so frustrating that I had to remove myself from the room. And I went, I'm gonna do something. Like I'm gonna like I was afraid of.
I'm
Like,
gonna
I'm gonna
snap.
shake it, or I'm gonna snap, or I'm gonna throw him, or I'm gonna whatever. Like, and you literally had to put him down, or for me, I had to put him down. I had to walk away or do something where I felt like I was safer. I guess for him, because again, like kids will try your patience, like you know, like it's like nobody else. And if you're someone, and I think it's normal for most people to feel like, fuck, like I want to just throw him, but not acting on it, right? Is what sort of makes us human,
Right.
But I think because we don't talk about it, we all think that it's sort of shameful. I think to admit those things out loud, for one, and also that we're the only ones that think that way.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, don't say that. That's not normal, quote unquote. Even though I think most people would share an experience similar to what you just said, or I just said, where you're like, yeah, I fucking wanted to drive. Dude, the amount of stories that I have with my son because he was colicky or did, and I did some weird shit are out of this. Like, it's so stupid. And like, it gave me empathy for people who had like, you know, like I always joke that, you know, those people of Walmart like memes that they have. I'm like, I'm definitely in one of those.
Yeah.
And if you went and you looked at the context of the story, it'll be because I was pushing my son around Walmart at 3 a.m, trying to get him to fall asleep, probably wearing mismatched sandals and a wife beater that was, you know, like it's just like some crazy tank top and thing. Like I'm definitely in one of those memes somewhere. I just haven't seen it yet. Like for sure. Kids will test you, man. And if you're not stable, you're fucked.
and I couldn't imagine. I remember when I had my children and they were young. I remember thinking about like thank God that there was me and my wife. Thank goodness there was two of us, because I couldn't imagine being like a single parent that maybe working 1 or 2 jobs and then going home to that and then not sleeping and then going back to 2 jobs.
Yeah, you just don't know what people are going through, man.
Yeah, dude, that's it. Like, you know, you hear about shit, and not in this story, because this story, like, it wasn't this person's kid and whatever. But when you hear about like a parent snapping and then understanding their situation and going like, fuck, man, like I don't condone it, but I get it.
Yeah, dude, that might be the easiest breakup ever. For that
guy. We're like, now you can't stay.
Like, bitch, yo, can you imagine?
I was looking for a reason to leave your ass.
You've been dating someone for a long time, and they finally meet your kid, and they kill him. You're like, yo, I'm ready to take this to the next step. She's like, so am I. I've been listening to these murder mystery podcasts. I wonder what the real thing is like.
Yo, speaking of the next step, have you seen these Victoria's Secret models?
I fucking knew that's what you were going. All right, so are we talking about?
Okay,
go ahead. You know what? I don't even want to guess.
I think you did. You and I have been doing this pod now for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
At some point, and I'm pretty sure it was your story, I don't remember the details.
Yeah.
But it was Victoria's Secret kind of abandoning their, like, you know, quote unquote, like hot chick models, and then putting in sort of like more normal based.
We can remove the quote unquote. They removed the hot chick. And they're like, everybody deserves a chance.
Well, dude, listen, man. Listen, I know some dudes that will be like, nah, I need to, you know, I need to give Adriana Lima a couple sandwiches. I know dudes like that, man. So I'm just saying, like, but yes, like,
I understand we all have our personal preferences.
Society fucking right, like society deemed these women as beautiful.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone could argue rationally that she isn't good looking, right? Like it's anecdotally. Like I could have my speed of like, yo, I don't like someone to look a specific way or whatever, right? Like just like I'm sure she has her opinion on me and guys and whatever. But I don't think that stops you from going ridiculously good looking. It's just not my cup of tea or whatever.
But if it's not your cup of tea, is she ridiculously good looking?
I think she can be, right? Because we all have tastes or types, right?
Yes.
Like we all have types where we're
so
like.
So then if she's not your type.
She's just not your type.
Then she's not ridiculously good looking.
I think you can be. I know of
Do
people.
You know of
I've
people
seen,
that
I would say are gorgeous, and I would go, not my type.
But
though.
I don't want to.
Yeah, like I don't like I think there's a difference between someone turning you on and you thinking someone is attractive.
Jennifer Aniston.
Doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Attractive.
That's the one that comes to
But
mind.
doesn't turn me on.
Attractive, but it's not.
Doesn't turn me on. Yeah. Like nothing about her makes me, like, and I'm sure she feels the same way about me, but like, it's like.
We'll have to ask her.
We'll have to ask her next
on.
time. Yeah. Next time she's on, we'll have to ask her. But, objectively gorgeous.
Yeah, she's a good looking woman. Yeah.
Doesn't turn me on. Like that. Like, gorgeous. Just doesn't do it for me. I think you can be.
Okay.
But I'm a fucking weirdo. What do I know? I don't know.
So, this past week, my wife is doing some shopping for some family members.
Wait, are we still talking about Victoria's Secret model?
We are.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm trying.
Why you gotta go there? I'm trying to tell you a story.
Because I know where it's going. I'm trying not to get too excited. All right, go ahead.
My wife is doing some shopping for some people in the family, and she's the one that points out. She's like, "Yo, like, I didn't realize that Victoria's Secrets doesn't they have all of these women, modeling the lingerie, but they're like, I guess more sort of like quote unquote normal."
Yes.
Right? So then I'm like, oh, really? So then she's going through some of the pictures, and she comes across what I'm about to show you.
Oh, man. Yeah, at some point along the way, we decided. Okay. Nice dress.
So what I'm showing Juan is there's a model with she's missing an arm.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cut off at the top.
Listen, do your thing.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
What I found interesting was why. So why?
I'd be more upset if you were missing lips, but whatever.
No, what I'm looking at is this woman is she has one arm, and then one arm is kind of like it's amputated at I don't know, up by the shoulder.
She can't fight you back.
No.
We might have to cut that.
But what I'm thinking is, why? So, couldn't they make her stand the other way? They accentuated the fact that her arm is amputated.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with, companies now trying to...
Look, bro.
I don't want to. I'm going to get a try. You know how hard it is not to say something? Bro, she got a nub. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Yes.
And it's not even a pretty nub. The nub is shaped crazy. It's cut in the wrong places. Whoever stitched it did a bang-up job.
Dude,
let me see it again.
If you zoom in, it just looks like a big dick hanging out of her fucking side.
An uncircumcised penis.
So no, I ain't gonna listen. She's not a bad looking woman.
No.
And I go, but why wouldn't you make her you could still show that she.
Why wouldn't you make her able bodied?
But you can still show that she has an amputated arm. But why wouldn't you turn she's
turn it the other way and show us her full arm
and show the full arm?
Is that by design? Because you're armless is beautiful or whatever. You know how we're supposed to believe that fat is beautiful.
Yeah.
But you know how you could tell like women will defend Lizzo, but if you tell them that they look like her,
yeah,
they'll get really pissed off. You know what? You're right. You remind me of Lizzo so much. Let's see how that goes.
She's a queen.
Yeah.
Dude, so since we have 4 limbs, if you're missing a limb, are you 25% less hot?
Nah, I think it's bigger. Well, I don't know. It depends. Is that your thing? Some people have a fetish, bro, of the limbless thing, right?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, because if you got some Lieutenant Dan legs, that might.
I'm glad you brought that up because I went searching for porn with chicks with nubs.
Shut the fuck up.
And I couldn't find any.
No?
No, I couldn't find any. Maybe
Wow,
I'm bad.
there's
Maybe I'm a
all
bad
kinds of
searcher.
porn.
Yes, it's all kinds of. But
There's no
I
nub
couldn't
porn?
see like amputees or. Ooh, I didn't search up amputees.
Yo, is it still called a hand job? What do you...
Not if she doesn't have hands.
She doesn't have...
Listen.
Oh.
What if? So, what's the limit? Woman has no arms,
Okay.
but has beautiful legs and feet.
Like, what do you...
You in?
Ooh, no arms.
And is talented. You seen? I think Tosh did that one thing. Remember Tosh did the one thing with the chick that she fucking cooks with her feet and everything, right? You in? So she's beautiful girl. Okay. No arms.
No arms. Beautiful girl.
But good, but like good body.
Drop dead. Okay.
And then like does everything with her feet.
Can she still talk?
Yes. I'm out.
That's a toughie.
Did she lose her voice box?
It's a voice box in her nub.
No, she has a thing.
Yo,
she has a thing.
I think she has the voice box. The smoking commercial.
Yes.
She's 26, but that bitch sounds like she's 77. Yo, does how you lost the limb matter?
No.
Like if you're natural, like whatever, something happened at birth and you had lost your limbs.
I don't think it matters, bro.
You don't think it matters?
No. Because if you were older, it's like a ghost limb. You think you still have it, but you don't.
She fucking jerking me off in the air the whole time. I'm sorry, I keep going back to that. That's the only thing I can think of.
Trying to grab it, but I can't.
Bro, you can't even give a bro job properly if you have enough, which is crazy. I'm like, there's no hands.
Oh my God, bro.
I'm going to hell. Oh man. Yeah, I will say the shit that I refrained from saying, you guys would be proud of me.
I'm disappointed. Remember, we can edit shit. I'm disappointed. I knew I would just open up a can of fucking worms for you.
Bro, the one you showed me. Pull it up again.
Okay, yeah.
You could stick your dick in there. But for real.
Wait, let me zoom in. So it's an extra hole.
Is it? I could. Yeah.
Like, what's that doing for you, baby?
And the best thing is, she's not allowed to be picky because at the end of the day, you could be like, yeah, but you're missing an arm. No matter what she says, but like, you're so shallow. You don't have an arm. Yo, could you date a girl with no legs you had to carry around or push around in a wheelchair?
Yo, I knew somebody like that.
But could you date them?
No, not me. I don't think so.
What if when you started dating them, they were able-bodied?
Yeah, I think in that case, yeah, because I think you develop, feelings for people.
What if you did? What if you've been dating them for like
a week?
6 months? Oh, a week would be hilarious. But like 6 months, you actually like them, and then suddenly they lose their ability to like walk or use their arms, or America catches
I don't know,
them.
man. That had to be an amazing 6 months. What can you still do?
He's like,
man. I don't know, man. That's 6 months.
6 months, you dated someone, you really feeling them, and then tragic accident, they lose limbs,
And then all of a sudden, Sean disappears.
Yeah, now suddenly she's rubbing your head like this. You're cuddling and you just feel those stabs. Yeah, I'm waiting for all the emails and the fucking comments about to get on YouTube from like the the Nub Association or whatever it's called.
Yo, how we doing on time, bro? I know we gotta be getting close.
It's 1:14.
No, yeah. All right, we're gonna finish it off. We gotta finish
The
it off.
Nubs took us in the Bro.
Should we just end it here, bro?
Nah, we got one good one. What do we got?
All right, let's go.
We gotta have something.
Florida man quits his job. Tell me about this.
Yo, I have bared witness to people who've quit their jobs in pretty epic ways. But my man here is on a different level.
I think I've only seen one.
Oh, dude, I have.
You seen a few?
One. I've seen a few, but there's one that stands out every time. And I tell this story, like, every time I talk about people quitting epically, there's one person that stands out crazy. However, there's this man this week, bro. He's he is a driver for transporting prisoners.
Okay.
And he decides to quit mid-transport. Motherfucker got Arkham Asylum just sitting in his school bus or whatever the fuck he's driving.
So what do you do? He just stopped and walked out?
Yeah. And leaves the bus full of the cookies and just
But they're
off.
all handcuffed in the bus, I think.
Yeah, but now you're giving them
Prisoners,
all
right?
day to figure out how to get out of handcuffs because the dude just quit.
Dude, that's here in Florida where?
Yeah. Ooh, good question. Let's see. It's got to be like Polk County somewhere, right? Or up north, east in the Panhandle. Like,
I don't know.
Florida gets progressively
Ocala.
more ratchet. Yeah, good point. It could be Ocala. But though Ocala's starting to get a little more civilized. It just says Florida, man. He was, doesn't really say where. It just says all around Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's crazy. But I think that from what I've seen, when you escort prisoners, I think they're all handcuffed inside, right? Because they could jump you, or there's a divider in between the driver and them. So yeah, that's it's fucking nuts. But I wonder, did he say why he quit?
Nah, that shit didn't really matter to me. They just said he fucking quit. And mid-transport, and then he just left the prisoners there and then took off. And then some of them managed to get out. That's pretty fucking hardcore, bro. Can you imagine, like, you're on the highway and you're with your girlfriend with no arms and a fucking prison bus, bro, full of convicted felons just sitting there, and you have a flat and she can't help you.
How skilled is she?
She's like, oh, but I'll rub your head. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yo, fuck it. On that, tell them where they can find us.
At the Carbon Food Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, IG, and at Carbon FP Pod on X, and at Carbon Food Podcast on TikTok, and then all your favorite audio platforms, Amazon, Audible, Amazon Music, I think is what I meant to say, Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and then all the rest of them, YouTube Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Podchaser, all of them. Make sure you leave us a review on the ones where you can. And comments and all that on Facebook. We still read them. We had some funny comments this week on some videos and the shorts and the clips and all that. And then the YouTube, bro, I need to change the settings on our YouTube because I must have the filter on a little too strict. And so there's people that I can see leave comments and YouTube takes them off.
Yeah?
Before I could even read them. So I know they're
Why?
fire. They probably say something questionable. So, I don't know. Like this week, I'm sure we're going to
They
get...
do that shit?
Yeah, YouTube does. And then there's a filter you can put on where it's like, oh, I have to review the comment and then post it. But I got to look at it. Maybe there's something in there that I have too strict.
Oh, shit.
But, yeah, there's things because I can tell because I can see that it left a comment. It just won't let me see what it was.
Yep.
So, yeah, I got to go on there and fuck with the filters and all that because that tells me some of you guys are cursing me out and I want to know.
And yo, man, I just got a text from the wife. She's like, started late. I'm like, yep.
Yo, reply right now. Kicking off now.
No, I heard too late.
Record
I already
me.
said finishing now.
Oh, say record me going. All right, we're about to start in 3, 2.
Don't worry, man. She listens. She'll hear it.
Oh man, and I'm just kidding. I would love me a girl with nubs. No, I wouldn't.
And as always, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.